Thank you for continuing to join us on this journey of ensuring that our grading, assessment, and instructional practices align with best practices and are wholly supportive of student learning. We've put this video together to help you understand where we're at and where we're going. If you have any questions, concerns, or would like to talk further about anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or any member of your child's team. We hope you find this information helpful. Already this year, we've shared several communications about grading. The culmination of the pandemic, in-person and remote learning options, and the unique home situations and needs of each family has brought extraordinary complication to this quarter's report cards. Our greatest challenges have been in clearly communicating learning to families through an outdated reporting system during a situation that has significantly shifted our teaching, learning, and assessment practices. Essentially, we've tried to fit a square peg into a round hole. We've sought to effectively navigate this through creative instructional practices and continuous communication with each family. Though not perfect, we believe this quarter's grades represent a small step forward on our journey towards ensuring our practices and policies fully support student learning. You've seen this document and the underlying philosophy before, and Mr. Stephen will dig more into it momentarily, but our grading and assessment learning team came together and collaborated around creating a vision of grading that reflects our entire East Prairie community.
Hi, this is Mr. Stephen from East Prairie School. I wanted to go ahead and take a second to add on to this presentation and talk a little bit about the grading and assessment team and what we've been doing with our grades for this quarter. So the grading and assessment team was created with teachers, parents, and administrators, all having the opportunity to work together and research and discuss and talk about ideas all around education. Specifically, we focused on grading and assessment. And what this team was tasked with was to find the following goals. One, move the district forward to ensure that they have high quality practices for assessment, feedback, and communications for all stakeholders, both students and parents. We want to review the practices and research that's out there and collaborate so we can find a path forward for all of our homework and assessment methods and how we communicate those results back to the parents and students. We wanted to develop an overarching district-wide philosophy for assessment, grading, and homework, which was completed, and also provide ideas on how to give timely and accurate feedback back to students and parents. And finally, the overall arching project for the grading assessment team was to develop a report card, a standards-based report card that's going to more accurately communicate all the learning relative to the grade level standards and assessments that are given to students throughout the year. So let's take a look at kind of a few of these samples. And it's important to know that these standard-based report cards come in every size and shape. Some have various trimesters, some have different looks to them. There is no real one-size-fits-all report card that's going to work for every single school district. All of these report cards are based upon the needs that we would have. So all of our needs at District 73 are going to be different than the ones that you might find down the street somewhere. Now, as this group moved forward, we began outlining what these new standard-based report cards would look like. But obviously, with the situation for COVID-19 pandemic, we had to kind of shift our priorities. So where are we currently? Currently, for this school year, we have returned to utilizing the same grade cards we have in the past, but there's going to be some slight changes in them. So I'm sure that many of you in grades K through 3 are very familiar with this standards-based report card that we've had. Now, some of those changes might be that some of the classes that we have listed on the report card might not have grades. And we've had to do that to help accommodate both the remote learning, the hybrid learning, the in-person learning, and all of the different scenarios that we're juggling. So some of these blank areas might be blank, and that's not uncommon. Now, as we look at our 4th through 8th grade report card, many of you are familiar with this, but it's important to know that how closely these report cards are tied with our schedule. For example, if we utilize this current report card that you see on the screen here for our middle school students, almost every single box would be blank. And that's just because of how the schedule ties into the report card coding. So what we ended up doing is having to shift a little bit and come up with more of a canned report card that's given to us through PowerSchool. Now, with this one, it actually aligns a little bit better with our schedule. We're still able to produce a grade, we're still able to produce the percentages, and the teachers can leave feedback. Now, you might notice that we don't have things on here like the number of tardies or absences. Please note that is still being taken care of and that's being logged by the office. So we still have all of that information if we ever need it. Now, rather than spending the time, money, and resources redeveloping this card, again, we decided to use a canned report from PowerSchool. Again, because of how we're shifting to a standards-based report card, we would have to go through this whole shift one more time. So we just decided to save the resources and utilize what we've had. Now, behind the scenes, it's important to know that our teachers are still working very hard to meet the goals that were set forth by that grading and assessment team. In one of the activities, we talked about Ken O'Connor. And Ken O'Connor's biggest quote that we had taken away was that effective grades need to meet four overarching criteria to be successful. They must be accurate, they must be meaningful, consistent, and must support learning. Do know that it's been a huge priority for all of our teachers this year to be sure to identify all the essential skills that students will need to know for their curriculum, as well as unpacking the Illinois state standards to make sure that they are meeting the needs of all children's learning. We do expect the grading and assessment learning team to meet again. And again, we're going to be sure that we exercise caution on this to make sure that the environment is safe when we do that for a physical in-person meeting.
Thank you for your ongoing partnership and support as we work together to make East Prairie the very best that it can be. If you have any questions or need anything, please reach out. We're here to serve.